So this is the Eleksmaker. Kind of expensive at $320. However, we are going to give you my opinions, and you need the glasses. It's packed really well with lots of foam. It's packed really well. All the little pieces are separated. Got a list. All the pieces are here. Well, it looks good so far. It's packed on the bottom. It's got foam on the sides and bottom. You've got a little hardware pack that's got everything in it. Two sides. Okay. I got the extra bits, so that was cheap. You need the glasses. Okay, so I'm using a video from Ford Boy, and I'm also looking at spreading out everything on the table. Got my instructions, got all the pieces laid out, ready to roll, and then there's a problem. We can't build it because, well, I noticed this is laser cut, and took the paper off. I started attempting to assemble and discovered, contrary to their paperwork here, and what they've got in the box is not what's on the paperwork. And this is an 18 millimeter, and this is a 12 millimeter. The instructions call for a 14 millimeter and a 16 millimeter. But you don't have the right size, so their price is high too, $320 more or less. And there's another site that's selling exactly the same item for $220. And there's another place in the USA that makes one of these where the parts are actually made out of aluminum, and they're selling that for $190. So before you go spend $300 at Banggood, go look around. You're going to find something much better somewhere else. I would highly recommend purchasing the aluminum one from the USA. Now this thing here, if you know somebody with a machine, you can go over and ask them to cut one out for you, and they can cut all the pieces for you. The whole point of this product is that this is an educational toy. That's exactly what it is, an educational toy. So don't expect to do a whole lot of work with it. The reason I'm going to put it together, get my hands on it, see something with my own eyes, put my hands on it, get the software to work, get everything working, and play around. I think you can make like keychains. We have an expectation, and this is true. We have an expectation. If you pay for a product, you have the right to expect that the product has all the parts in it, that the parts are right, that the product functions the way it's advertised. This product from Banggood does not do that. For $300 for this toy, you and I have full right. We have the right to be fully expect instructions that are accurate and clear, and all the right parts. I did find a video that's actually very good, that shows the assembly. Basically, I'm just going to run through this right quick. These go in here. These are too short, just like that. Can't even get a nut on it. These are seem kind of long, but that's all you can do. That's all there is. It's either this, use the wrong one, or go to the store and purchase M3 by 14 millimeter. You need 48 of those. M3 by 16 millimeter. You need 20 of those. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so what I've figured out here is it's easier to just go through and install this stuff on each part. These obviously get these linear bearings. Okay, these bearings are designed to go back and forth. They're not designed to turn. Each one of these pieces has the holes that are right size. That gets 2 of those. That gets 2 of those. There's no holes here, so obviously that gets 2, that gets 1, that gets 1, that gets 2 of those, 2 of those. And what I also figured out is here's one of those, and it gets the spring-loaded thing. This doesn't have any holes. It doesn't. So this can't go here. There's no holes for it. Therefore, that gets a spring, and that gets a spring. So each one of these pieces where there's that brass round part gets one of these what do they call that? Spring-loaded tensioner situation. So that goes in each one of those. Now, by doing this simplifies things quite a bit. So this is together, this is together, this is together, and then we can go on to the next step and figure that part out. So what we have now, this is what's left, and you can see that what's on our little printout doesn't match what's in the box at all. There's some serious discrepancies in the box, and if you use the M3 by 18 in place of both the 14 and 16, and that would be these, if you use these, then there's still this many left, and we need 4 for the board here, those, and that's where the board is going to fit in here. So you need those and these little plastic things and some nuts. So you got a lot of extra nuts, and then you have these. Now this is a washer that only fits these M3s. So it's an M3 washer that does this. The problem I'm having here is, one, these aren't shown in the instructions at all anywhere, but you can see that this motor adjusts for the tension. And here's the other problem. If you use, here's the long bolt, and if you use this bolt, it doesn't go in all the way. It only goes in this far. Whoops, sorry. It only goes in this far. So you can't use that one. You have to use the shorter. And because they gave you a 12 rather than a 15, it's actually, if you look at this, see, it's actually short. It only goes in that far. This washer is going to hold it off a little further. With no washer at all, that puts it like this, so you get a couple extra threads. And if you use this, which is a stronger case designed, it's designed to spread the pressure out, and it's much stronger as a washer. Use this, you get this much space in here. So up to 2 years ago, they've had at least a year to get the problem corrected. They have not corrected the instruction manual, and I noticed the instruction manual is, it looks at all the pieces are wood, and the pieces of wood are actually thicker. They're quite a little bit thicker than this plastic, but even then it doesn't match this hardware kit. So this might be a generic hardware kit that more or less fits a wide range of products, and they just throw it in. But honestly, this product is only worth, oh, I don't know, $50. $50 to $100 maybe. So with that in mind, for that markup, you'd think they'd be able to go ahead and you know, spend a little bit of time to do the instruction manual. In the assembly, you notice that here are the long bolts. So the extra length, which is, you know, this is just unprofessional, but the extra length really doesn't get in the way of anything. So, you know, the extra length isn't that big a deal. What counts is on a lot of things. On these, the amount of threads on the shorter bolt will matter, because it's not getting in, well, like we saw on this part. Now obviously we can build a machine with the product, with the hardware that's in the box. Now some of the questions are, you know, obviously the longer bolt is too long, it bottoms out, because the hole in the frame, in the motor mount, is only this deep. So the short bolt is just enough to catch the threads in there, and the long one's too long. Well, to be realistic, this is just a toy, an educational toy. So the fact that the screw is, you know, only has a few threads and it's not really all that stable, like it vibrates a little bit, these might come loose. That's not a realistic issue, because it's just a toy. You're not going to be doing things with it. This is the way Forge Boy did it, and I thought, no, I'm going to do it the other way around. But then when I put it in, guess what? I did it this way. I'm going to turn that back around. See, this hole right here is big enough to fit over this. Okay, so other than that, I mean, the whole thing goes together fairly easily if you do the process, like build this, okay, now I've turned this back around. Look, this is the way I meant to have it in the first place. I don't know why I got it the other way. There's a bearing right here, can't see, but there's a bearing right there that rides on. And now it was very simple. You just take these 4 bolts out. So now this is on this side, and before it would have to stop right here. Well, now, so you get this much more travel, goes all the way to the end. So this is the way it's supposed to be. This needs to be on the front so that you get this travel. You get that extra, what is that? That's about an inch, right? 2.5 millimeters, about an inch. Well, 3/4 of an inch. So you get 3/4 of an inch extra travel. The thing to do would be get a little bit of oil it up. What if I got this and then just upgraded this? Here's the answer to that. If you want to upgrade this, you want to upgrade the motors. Then you want to get longer pieces. Then what have you actually got left? Then but you also need these pieces. You need this, you need this, you need this, this. You need a different piece here to hold a bigger motor. So technically you might be able to use these pieces. You might be able to use these pieces. You could use these side pieces if you might be able to use this if you wanted to keep this same travel, or you'd have to replace this and the extruded metal that's in here behind that in order to raise this up, in order to get more travel. And you would have to replace these to get it wider. So by the time you're done, upgrading this, why not just set this aside, go online and get a package with all the parts in it, buy the extrusion lengths that you want, and assemble one that's the size you want. There's no sense, in other words, there's no sense at all in trying to upgrade this because you're replacing pretty much everything. If you replace everything, you're not really upgrading it, then are you? Technically, you're not upgrading it, you're just building another one. So, bottom line is no, there's no reasonable there's no reasonable way to upgrade this. So it is what it is. It's an educational toy. You're going to be able to cut, say, well, I don't know, you might be able to cut something like this. The thing that I would upgrade on this first would be these. The motor, I would get a bigger, better motor. Hopefully that would fit in here. It's not that difficult to modify this. All you have to do is modify this top piece. And guess what? I have a cutter. I could actually use this. Now here's the only modification that makes sense. I could use this motor to cut a piece like this. Get a piece of plastic and route it out and cut it out. That's the same as this, except that, you know, that this part here is modified larger and can hold the larger piece. All you'd have to do is replace this piece and put in a larger motor. Or you might have to replace both of these pieces and put in a larger motor. That would be one. The other is the laser. Oh, it's in a bag. But the laser's the same size, so I would get a stronger laser. This is a 0.5, so it's a 5 watt, so it's lame, but you know, it's supposed to be a toy. It's an educational toy, so it's not. So I would upgrade these two things. I would use this motor to cut new pieces for this and rebuild this part. Put a stronger motor, a stronger laser, and that's the only upgrade that I would even consider. That's the only upgrade I would even consider doing on this product.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Well, here's, for one thing that we noticed, how long it takes to cut anything. This is the bit they give you, and wowie, you imagine that little teeny point cutting. Well, I also got this, which was really cheap. So these bits will cut a lot quicker than this little pointy thing. And then came up short one of these pieces right there. This is still a little disturbing with have all these pieces left over. Another thing to note is on your laser, see right down inside there, it takes a flat screwdriver this width to adjust the focus on the laser. So once the laser's in, if it's not focusing the teeny tiniest beam, you need to shut it off, try to make the adjustment, and then check it until this is adjusted correctly. The other thing is on our board here, am I in the way? X, Y, and Z. So we have X, Y, Y, and Z, and that's for your, this is Y, going this way is Y, going this way is X, going this way is Z. So here's the Z. Anyway, so there's a plug here that goes to the power to the motor. On the Eleksmill website, it shows that this goes to a laser, but I think this board is for, if you have the next up laser, this is the cheapest, lowest, smallest laser. So the next one up would have a cable that controlled the laser, I think. The motor here has a plug for control, but it only has the power. The power voltage is what regulates the motor, so I'm not real certain what all that means. There's the USB port, power in, and on off. And next thing to do is software.